I'm Professor Indra Abeysekera. When it comes to hedging, we come across forward contracts and futures contracts. Let's look at differences between forward contracts and futures contracts. When we take a forward contract or a futures contract, we lock in the price of a sale or purchase of the underlying item. The hedge can cover 100% of the underlying item or less than that. When we compare forward contracts and futures contracts, there are 7 aspects where there are differences. First one is the modality of the contract. Under the forward contract, it's privately negotiated. Under the futures contracts, it's highly standardized. When it comes to the trading platform, it's traded over the counter, especially in a bank. When it comes to a futures contract, it's traded over the exchange, such as futures exchange. Forward contracts does not require an initial deposit, whereas futures contract often requires an initial deposit. The settlement date for the forward contract is at end of the contract, but when it comes to futures contracts, it can be daily or frequent settlement when the expected price differs from the actual price, which is called the margin call, to maintain the agreed minimum required value. For example, a broker can advance certain amount of money to cover the purchase of the stocks that the buyer requires. For that, for the loan that is given by the broker will ask a minimum deposit depending on the fluctuation of the stock portfolio that the buyer wanted. If the price falls, then the broker will ask for additional money, which is called a margin call. Margin call will be determined by the amount of the loan and the proportion of the deposit that was made. The fifth is the nature of settlement. When it comes to forward contract, it could be goods or cash. In the futures contract, it's cash. The settlement name is called, for forward contract, it's settlement, whereas futures contract it's called closing out. In a futures contract, you can enter into a sell or buy contract without owning it and do the reverse at the end. And by doing that, you can close out the contract either at the time that you have agreed to close or before that time. Who uses the forward contracts? The forward contracts are used by the hedgers or firms to counter volatility, whereas futures contracts are often used by speculators to make gains on the market.